This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. It is late, it is midnight, and I'm here with the European champion, Sam Noakes. Sam, back to the stoppages tonight. A very, very tough man. How do you assess your performance?
I think I'd have to watch it back. I mean, how I feel, I don't feel it was my best performance. I think a few things I could do differently. I think I was waiting about too much in the warm-up room and little things like that. But I think he was tougher than I thought he was going to be as well, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, because we had a few shared opponents. But he's a credit to himself. It was a good fight, and it's a good, valuable learning round to me.
And looking forward now, obviously, before we delve into performance a bit more, it's a very exciting time in the lightweight division. There's a man that's been linked with you for a very long time now. I can remember going a couple of years back at this point, Mark Chamberlain, supposedly labelled as His Excellency's favourite fighter. How big is that desire to still get that fight?
Yeah, I think we're both getting to that sort of point now in our careers where it's going to happen. I think, as I was saying earlier, whether it's for a world title or if it's just an eliminator or whatever, I said when that eventually gets announced, I think it's going to be a massive fight. Obviously, I don't think it's probably going to happen in the next 12 months, but this is boxing. I mean, it's just one phone call away, so we're ready when it gets announced, and when that opportunity arises, we'll go for it.
And just looking back at tonight, obviously, back to the stoppages, your first defence of your European, last time out against Yvonne Mendy. We saw a bit of a difference from you in that fight, I'd say. I'd say you were a lot more calculated and a lot more composed in that fight. You knew the dangers that Yvonne possessed, whereas tonight, at one point, I was sat there watching. I was kind of like, how is this man still standing? Because you were hitting him with some good shots. Were you surprised at all by how tough he was?
Yeah, you know what? Because obviously, like, I feel my hands were a little bit sore because obviously, so they must have been landing. But then I could see the stress signals, but it wasn't like he was wobbling or nothing like that. And I thought, come out. I hit with a left hook, and I remember thinking, oh, that must have hurt him. And he was still all right, but he covered up well. Like, he's had a few fights, and he's not new to the game, so he knew what he was doing, and obviously nicked the rest. And maybe I was a little bit slow off the mark to then capitalise on hurting him. So, but we got the job done in the end, and I think hopefully look good doing it. Do you know what I mean? That's the plan when I get home and watch it. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I mean, I was watching an interview from Dev the other day, and I think Dev said he hadn't been stopped in 10 years now, and that was at a much higher weight. So the first man to stop him in 10 years, that's definitely something to be proud of, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm always proud. I mean, obviously winning. I think, not that I'm overcritical with myself, but I think you've got to be honest with yourself when you start calling out all these big names and all these, like, going on about these world titles. I think you have got to be critical on yourself to progress and become the better fighter you can.
And then, obviously, we can see the support that you've got. I was just saying this to your brother Sean off camera. The one thing that I really like about you two as brothers is when one of you fights, the other one is front row next to the promoter, screaming their heart out. What is that relationship like between you two? Obviously, not just on fight night, but training together, working together. Just how good is it to have that?
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, like, without trying to sound too cringy and all that yucky stuff, but he's like my best friend. You know what I mean? We all give each other a stick and that, but we're close. He'll tell you that he don't like watching me box and I don't like watching him box. That's why we end up shouting and all that. But I think it's good, and I think it's good to have someone that understands what you're going through with the weight, making all the pressures and that. Like, he obviously drives me up there and I'll drive him up there, so it's nice to have that sort of shoulder to lean on, do you know what I mean?
And obviously, for him now, English champion, I'd say it's been a bit of a quicker rise for him, I'd say. You know, I remember seeing his debut, seeing where he started, and then out of nowhere, obviously, I saw the fight with Indabasi get announced, then with the vacation from Owen Cooper, that fight got elevated for the English. So, you know, you're both champions now, and it just shows that what you two are doing away from fight night, away from the cameras, it's working. Yeah,
I think you can't cheat in this game. I mean, you can for a short time, but eventually you are going to get found out. Like, I mean, like, listen, I ain't the best technical boxer. I won't sit there and say that I am, but I'll graft. Do you know what I mean? I'll put it in. I'm not slacking. I don't ever slack with anything I do. And I think that determination and that drive will always get you further. Do you know what I mean? Like, all that talent beats skill, or skill beats talent, or like, hard work. You know what I'm saying? You know what? Hard work beats talent. Yeah, sorry boys, but yeah, that's what it is, I think.
And then obviously I know it's still very, very quickly after the fight, but what would you like to do next? Would you like to push on now, try and get yourself an eliminator, or is there anything else you got your sights on?
I think we'll probably have another defence end of the year. I think unless an opportunity arises, like as I said, it can be as quick as a phone call. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Nothing's ever set in stone, but I think as of the horizon now, just be another defence. Keep learning. Do you know what I mean? We're still only 15 and 0. We still got like a couple more fights to have to get under our belt. But as I said, if a world title shot comes up, then I'll grab it.
Do you still hold the British title? That's just me. I'm not sure. Do you still hold the British title?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So there's the options of possibly defending the British and European at the same time if there's an eligible opponent?
Yeah, I mean, if there's an eligible opponent, you could do British, Commonwealth, WEO, you could do a lot. I mean, I don't really want to pay the sanction fees, but yeah, it's doable, do you know what I mean? So, we'll see. I think, obviously, there's some good fighters in Britain, so if it happens, it happens. I know there's a final eliminator for it, but we'll see, innit?
And just while I've got you, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this is the last UK show in terms of on televised boxing before Joshua versus Dubois. We all know how big that's going to be. We all know how it's going to feel come that fight week. When you look at that fight, obviously I know you're a Queensbury man, and so is Daniel Dubois, but how do you see that fight going?
So, obviously I'm a Queensbury boy, back in Queensbury, do you know what I mean? But I do, especially the way Joshua has looked in his last 2 fights. I mean, obviously Daniel Dubois looked good against Hergovic as well. So I think with their meeting at a good time in their careers, obviously I know Joshua's been a unified world champion now over many times, but I think it's going to be a good tear up, and it's just going to be a question of the tougher man wins at the end, I think.
Obviously, Mark Chamberlain on that card against Josh Padley, a bit of a unexpected fight, I guess you could say, especially when you look at the run that he was on and the fighters he was facing. There's something about this fight that the fans are going, this doesn't seem right, but do you expect him to get the job done?
Yeah, I think Mark's a good fighter anyway. I ain't under no illusion he's not a good fighter. I think Padley might pose a few problems, but I reckon Chamberlain stops him, to be honest. I don't think it's going to go to the full distance.
And then finally, just have you got any messages for the people who came out, sponsors? I'm just going to pass the mic over to you and the stage is yours.
Well, thanks for coming out, everyone who tuned in, and glad to be back to Stoppage Ways, and obviously thanks to the sponsors. I couldn't do it without any of you, especially all the day ones and everyone who's come out. Thank you very much.
Sam, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you giving me your time, especially with it being so late, but we got it done, and congratulations again. Thank you.